Sasquatch, Yahoo, Phantom of the Forest, you Spearfinger, Fire Dragon, Ohio Grassman, Silver Giant, Bloodless Howler, West Virginia Vampire, Coyote King, Hogzilla, Devil Dog, Coyote Killer. Cave creature, Mothman, Smoke Wolf, a Lizard Demon, Ashman, Grafton Monster, Cow-killing Bastard, Shadow Creature, Dustman, Cherokee, Death Cat, Wild Man, Great Fire Rape. What else do I have to say? Steal yourself some chicken wire, and I'll get some lumber. Catch the Thunder Brothers. Don't you dare get out of the golf cart. We can keep our big seats while we hunt the big feet. Snarly Gastro Team, Red Island Bear Beast, Silver Giant, Squalling Savage, Black Wolf was kind of average, Stone Giant, Raven Mocker, Midnight Whistler, Wampus Beast, Wawa Woman, Ohio Grassman again. Technically Huckleberry Wolfman or Wolf County, need to find the X again if we hunt the Lightning Man. Welch's Werewolf, Daily Howl, Kentucky Hellhound, Little Girl, Headless Horror, I can't take it anymore. Steal yourself some chicken wire, and I'll get some lumber. Catch the Thunder Brothers. Don't you dare get out of the golf cart. We can keep our big seats while we hunt the big feet.
This here's BIGFEETS. For better or worse, we are the only watch-along podcast for the hillbilly monster hunting show Mountain Monsters. I wish there was another to take up this mantle. I wish there was one with, I'm just going to say it, more journalistic integrity than us, so that the things that happen towards the end of this episode could have been avoided. We'll get right into that. But just up front, I want to think that I'm a big enough man to say I'm Robert Brockway, and I'm sorry I didn't think Mountain Monsters was real.
And I'm Sean Baby from the internet. Come visit my new interactive candy experience, entirely generated by the next generation of AI. It's called Workus Jorblarg, It Wa Morg Your Dreams, True Banana Scripter, South Asian MILF, Titties Horsebody, Semi-Realistic Basketball Game Against Hulk Hogan, Nude Sexy. It is not for kids.
And I'm New York Times best-selling author Jason Pargin.
I appreciate what you guys are trying to do here, but it's clear that we are all fools. Everybody's going to know that by the end of this episode. And I think if you're listening to this, congratulations. This is the last episode of our podcast, BIGFEETS. I don't see how it can continue after the revelations that come from the episode we're about to watch of Mountain Monsters. If you are just joining us here for the very end, if you've bought a ticket for the actual crash of the Titanic, like none of the boat ride all crash, congratulations. I hope you enjoy watching us burn. I hope that's fun for you in some way. We were watching every episode of Mountain Monsters. It's a hillbilly X-Files cryptid hunting reality show that we thought was fun. We thought it was funny that they quote unquote made up all of these creatures, and we had some good laughs. We had some good laughs along the way, but we have disparaged the names of the entire cast, which is Trapper. He is the leader, and now we know a very brave soldier. Huckleberry is security, and apparently he is keeping the entire cast alive. There's Buck. He's the rookie, and God bless him. God bless his optimistic heart.
Not anymore. He's been through it all.
He has. You're right. We can't call him the rookie anymore. He's officially private first class Husky Ninja. I don't know what the rank would be. Jeff is our hillbilly research scientist, and every word he speaks is truth. Willie is our trapper, always in the face of danger, and Wild Bill is, I'm going to assume he's also an expert tracker. I've never seen him do any of that, but who am I, in light of this evidence, to say he is not? He's an expert tracker. We are watching, we're watching our own downfall, but what we're watching is Mountain Monsters, Season 1, Episode 18, according to the HBO Max order, Hogzilla of Hocking Hills. You know what? We should stop. We should stop and do some plugs before we lose all credibility.
I don't want my books associated with this.
I understand.
Because this is the equivalent of if you did a true crime podcast trying to get somebody out of jail saying they've been falsely accused. And then you finally, after doing all of your episodes, they were released based on your information, and then they immediately killed 37 more people.
Mm-hmm.
And ate them, yes.
And you had to keep doing your podcast. Like what would you even say? How do you begin to apologize?
This is the hog creature version of that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, this is the true crime podcast of Hogzilla. And I don't know if Hogzilla was guilty or innocent. I know we're guilty. I know we are guilty. I am going to plug our website. We do a website. We need it so bad now. Now that Bigfeets is gone. 1-900-HOT-DOG. You can support us on patreon.com/1-900-HOT-DOG if you are feeling deeply forgiving of our shortcomings. We're good comedians, as we will have proven. We are terrible journalists. Well, we're terrible reporters, but we don't do that on that site. We only make jokes. We only make fun, and it doesn't really matter if we are wrong.
There was that juggler I made fun of that turned out to be a sex criminal. I think the jokes were fine, but I did sort of miss a red flag in that guy's background check. So I guess you're right.
The problem is that, well, as time has gone on, we keep trying to find material with lower and lower stakes that we can cover because we know we're so bad at journalism. And
Right.
we thought, well, mountain monsters, like, here you go. It's totally risk-free. You can't get this wrong. And yet here we are. We found another level of failure that we didn't know was possible.
All right, well, let's get into it. We normally do this hilarious bit where we look up whether or not the monster was even based on something that they're hunting, or if they've made it up wholesale. We don't have to do that this time because they catch it. They do catch it in this episode. It's real. It's right there. Hogzilla exists, and he is done. They got him. It's over. That means this episode is real, and by extension, 100% of it has been real, and all the rest that follows.
They read
will
all
be
the articles.
real.
Everyone listening read all of the articles when they caught the creature.
We're in so much legal trouble.
I can't believe we missed it. I mean, it was the cover of Time magazine. Local heroes catch Hogzilla.
Hogzilla's reign of terror is at an end, and then just Wild Bill with his mouth absolutely full of Hogzilla on the cover. Who could forget that iconic shot?
Yeah,
with
Food and Wine
Hogzilla just
magazine.
dripping out of his mouth.
Wild Bill's 45 Hogzilla recipes.
Now, if somebody were to actually try to Google Hogzilla right now, they would only find one reference, which is a 2003 incident in which a hunter in Georgia told everyone he knew that he killed a 1,200-pound hog that he called Hogzilla, but he buried it, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
And then it became such a famous local legend that National Geographic dug it up. The partially rotted corpse, and confirmed it was a little larger than a normal hog, but not
He didn't
1,200
actually
pounds.
drag a truck scale out to the woods to make sure it was 1,200 pounds.
No, that is quite a bit. It was actually 800 pounds, and it was really 8 feet long. That's probably generous, but that's what they landed on. You can look up pictures of it. It's fucking massive. It is. Hogs can get very big.
Sure.
Like a real big hog is like 400 or 500 pounds. So yeah, this is like a realistically really big hog. They don't have a record any bigger than Hogzilla. Some close, but like, yeah, enough to verify the Hogzilla is a species. There is a species of Hogzilla out there, and these men, well, they didn't catch it, but we'll get into that. Let's get into the episode, and you can see for yourself. You can judge for yourselves how badly we fucked up. All of these episodes start with Trapper's truck briefing. They're going to Hocking Valley in Hocking, Ohio. I have to assume because it kind of sounds like hog. Like, right? That's kind of funny.
That's got to be it. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, the Hogzilla we just referenced from the news story, nowhere close to here. Nothing to do with Ohio or anything related.
Several of them have been found in like Texas is more its territory. Like, definitely not so much West Virginia. Trapper says, this is going to be a great adventure, which I found really cute. A really cute way to say that. Like, what, like 2 episodes ago, I don't even know how many episodes back, they were fleeing in their lives from a flock of pterodactyls, like, and now they're like, we're going to have a fun adventure.
Yeah.
Like, the stakes are fucking all over the place.
To be clear, all of these men should be suffering from PTSD many times over based on what they've gone through.
I think it partially digested Buck last episode, like partially digested by a pterodactyl. Like he's not gonna be the same. Like once you're digested by something, you have to know that you're shit from now on. Like technically,
I really
you're
like
always
how
just shit.
there was not an episode where they're like, guys, during that whole fight against the pterodactyl swarm, none of us got a shot off. I think we need to work on our firearm drills. We need to work on our like shooting formations. Just, I think a lot of standard basic training needs to happen. They're just like, no, we're ready for more. No
We gotta
errors.
work on our panic response,
Yeah.
except for you, Buck. The roll into a ball and just flail wildly with your rifle is the perfect. We call it the armadillo. It's perfect.
Has never
Perfect
failed.
response. Trapper goes on to say, "We're hunting Hogzilla," and somebody says Hogzilla and confirms Hogzilla because, God damn it, just like us, they're gonna love to say the word Hogzilla in this episode. It's just a great thing to say, and they're not immune to it. He says it is a huge hog-type beast terrorizing the local farmers, and that should be it, right? It's a hog, and that should be it. And then Jeff cuts in, and says, "Well, we'll be in Shawnee and Delaware Indian territory." Right away, you know you're in trouble. You're like, wait.
He looked up
because
he
he
looked up which natives lived there.
This is not necessary. Nobody in that truck knew he was about to say this.
Yep.
No. It's a huge hog is the end of your story. Like, those just exist. And Jeff is just here to fucking throw a wrench. Just throwing a spoke right in the wheel so they all they just flip head over heels. He goes on to say, shortly after it was settled in the 1790s, that's when this huge hog was actually being sighted. So
it's 240 years old.
He specifically says, we now have confirmation. He's gotten the Jason Pargin snowflake note from Out of Time. He says specifically up front, this is the immortal hog. This is a hog who cannot die. Right up front. This is one of the oldest living creatures in the world. So Jeff goes on to say the settlers were talking about it way back in the 1790s. The settlers, and like really doubling down on this. He says they were talking about it like it was 8-9 feet long, 1,200 pounds, 4.5 feet tall at his shoulders. And then we throw to the thick cryptid thigh check, a little CGI render of their monster. I'm gonna say luscious thighs, dainty little ankles, but some spank to them thighs, for sure. I don't have to specify that it has glowing red eyes. Every single one does.
Of course.
Which I looked up. Hogs don't. Hogs don't have glowing demon eyes. I looked that up. It's crazy. So Huckleberry says, that some bitch gonna be like a tank coming out there. And I feel like he's trying to move it on from what Jeff's doing. And Jeff...
Huckleberry likes to picture the animal running straight into something. Like, whenever they give, like, the weight and speed of the animal, he does that math in his head, and he's like, oh, that's like a truck hitting you. Because all the creatures attack like a rhino. You know, even if it's a cat or a turtle or whatever they're fighting, it always has a rhino-like charge.
What kind of ramming speed does that thing put down?
I want to say, again, they do no prior planning on these, or they do very minimal. And when Jeff says what he says about that, it's, talks about the settlers seeing it in the 1790s in the Shawnee and Delaware Indian Territory, Trapper says, that son of a bitch has to be a native type hog. And I feel like the rest of either one of two things happened. A discussion ensued that did not make it through the edit, or the other guys inside the truck steered it away from where this was going, because Trapper yes-ands the one time he should not have followed his improv instincts and should have instead negated what Jeff was saying. That's like, no, there's no reason this needs to be the spirit of, because Jeff is going to try to steer it back around to something here.
Yeah, this is going to be an Indian chief in a pig body, for sure, if you let Jeff talk too long.
Following Jeff into any improv scenario, it's just like following a serial killer into a carnival. Like, this is... You know better, instinctually. I don't care who you are, you know better than to follow along with this, because the next thing Jeff says is, but I think he's something else because of his front paws. And Trapper Drabber looks at him straight in the eye and says, "Now wait, Jeff, wait. You're telling me a hog-type creature has paws?" And Jeff, God bless him so much, Jeff straight up says, "Small, crude, usable hands."
So what this is, it's a pigotar, or maybe a hog turbotine, but it is definitely not a hog-type creature.
This, whatever the strengths of this team, and they have many, creature design, oddly enough, is not one of them, because when they are tasked with coming up with their own, a hog with little people hands in front. I want you to, if you're like, I realize that's creepy. That's kind of like weird. There's an uncanny nature to it, but please, I want you to think they are going to, as part of this thing's terrifying nature, say that it can stand up on its hind legs. I want you to picture the length of a pig's legs. They're very small and stumpy. They're like a few inches long. I want you to imagine seeing a giant, they said, the 1,200-pound animal, a pig, coming at you.
8 foot long, so 8 foot tall.
8 foot
when
long.
It stands up.
And you're very scared of it. It then stands on its hind legs, and at the end of its stumpy little front feet, it has little tiny people hands, and it tries to attack you with its tiny little people hands. Is that scarier or less scary than if he's just a giant hog?
Less scary, because he would immediately limit himself to the running speed and stability of a toddler. Like, right away.
Everything about him becomes, for one thing, amazing. Like, you would treasure that memory, but you would no longer be scared. You would be, you're now in Narnia. You're dealing with the most whimsical thing. And also, if you think about a pig's head, it now can't look at you. It's now staring straight up into the sky. So it is blindly kind of waddling toward you with its tiny little wiggling fingers.
I can't help but picture it doing magic tricks with those little hands.
Absolutely.
Like real basic stuff. Real basic close-up magic. What else could it do?
Did I do it right? I can't see.
I can't see the card. Is that your card? Like, it's not rhetorical. You have to answer.
What I think I love
these arms
best
do
about
not
this
reach up to my face.
is it's obviously very evocative. I kind of went in a different direction. I thought it would be more tragic if I ran into this creature. Like, I would think like, oh, some witch has half cursed a man. I've got to help this poor person die. But what I love is that Jeff just kind of bails on the whole thing. Like, he's like, small, crude, usable hands. And he just like lets that land, and everyone's like, dude, where are you going with this? Like, no one yes hands that. And so
Buck
like,
actually says, Buck looks.
Wait, no. Before that though, he just sits there in silence and realizes nobody fucking liked his hands idea. So he goes back to the start. He goes, "This is the biggest, baddest hog you could even imagine." He's like, "No, guys, forget the hands. Let's get back to how that's a real scary pig."
And then it's up to Buck. Buck says, "Jeff, I love all your research. I love all your folklore." And right away, you're like, "No, you don't."
No.
Like,
Nobody does.
But I don't think he has mutated hands like you think. He's just a big hog. And then the camera cuts to Jeff looking so sad.
He is so upset.
He is so crushed. I paused it right there just to see how dead behind the eyes he was, and I laughed for like 2 straight minutes. It just...
I don't know. There's a saying in West Virginia, by sorcery or treachery, you don't give hands to a pig. So Jeff violated one of the state's most sacred laws.
And what Jeff has to say in response is, "Well, Buck, we'll see." The worst thing to say, because you will see.
Yes, Trapper says that's the only response you have to that is "we'll see." Because what is this, the 20th episode, and they've literally never seen a monster yet. So they won't. It's only through insane fate that we're wrong this one time.
But knowing what they have planned for this episode, this is so mean to Jeff. And the thing is, he came in with some kind of mythology, some sort of lore in mind that links the fact that this is Shawnee Indian territory with the fact that this thing has people hands. He had something. He came into the truck with something to say, and he never got to say it. Because he does, again, not too many episodes removed from when he speculated that this death cat was the accumulated ghosts of all of the Native Americans killed on the Trail of Tears. Like, he came up with that on the fly. That is not an existing mythology. So here, he had something for why this pig has hands, and he just got shot down by his own team of make-believe improv cryptid hunters. And it's maybe the saddest thing that's ever been broadcast on television.
And they show it. They show his heartbreak very clearly. Buck smells blood and he says, Jeff, I'll make you a deal. If it can stand up on its hind legs and it has hands, I'll dance with her. It's a good line, 100% at Jeff's expense, and the entire truck loses their goddamn minds.
This was really
They all
good.
hate Jeff.
They all hate Jeff.
Right?
But this was a good exit from the drama. Like, it was getting sort of bitter and sad, and Buck's like, why don't I turn this into a joke? I
Why
feel
don't I
that was
turn you into a joke,
turn
Jeff?
you
Would you
into
like
Jeff
that?
is a joke. Jeff spends most of his time as a joke.
Well, your options.
I knew
as
this
you have
7
given them,
episodes
Jeff.
ago, but Jeff sucks. I was the only one. I was like, guys.
Jeff rules, and I like him more the more useless he becomes. I think it's very funny that the most useless person on this team is the only one that could actually have sort of a real job. Like, going into cryptid hunt, you could study the mythology behind it. You could do the research and come in with that, and that's like actual work. The one thing you can't do is build a trap for it, because it doesn't exist, and you can't hunt it, and you can't be security for it. None of those jobs are real, and somehow the most useless one is the only one with a real job, and I think that's very funny.
It's true.
And the thing is, if they, instead of Jeff, they had included somebody who was an actual expert in Appalachian area folklore, and who was full of all of these facts about the actual stories behind all of the many, many actual wild tales that you hear out of this area, it would have been fascinating, informative, and the show would have gotten canceled 3 episodes in.
You would have learned at least something about actual mythology. This way, you would learn absolutely nothing. Things are taken away that you should know. So let's get to our first witness. His name is Wildman. His name is Wildman, and they describe his job as a backwoods archaeologist.
So on paper, this is probably the most danger they've ever been in.
Yes, absolutely. On paper. You know what? In practice, I think. Too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he's just like digging up rusty coins and arrowheads. He's a kobold. They actually found a creature. They found a kobold. And what they're going to do when they find the magical kobold is they pump him for information on a non-handed pig, which doesn't exist. Like...
So Wildman explains backwoods archaeologist is... I go around looking for antique bottles, coins, anything of a little value.
Trash.
So, trash. His identifiable headgear is so identifiable, it has to identify itself to the neighbors when he moves in. It's a smashed blue baseball cap, big, thick horn-rimmed glasses, and a mustache that doesn't say ladies so much as it says Little League team.
Okay.
You're in danger, like right away.
Yeah.
This is not good. You're not good. And Jeff, not picking up any of the signs, says, how'd you get a name by the name of Wild Man?
You do not ask. You do not ask that
Don't
question.
ask that.
I have that quote. Back in my younger days, I got pretty wild. Going to bars and stuff like that, I'd shut the bar down and open it up in the morning.
Just an alcoholic.
Yes.
No
And
parties. No parties.
that got a laugh. Because I think even these guys are like, oh, this is very sad. We've got to like give this guy a friendly laugh and talk about something else. This is not a wild... I've seen drinkers like this, and they'll make you want to stop partying. I don't know if you've ever gone to a bar
Absolutely.
that opens like before noon, but there are people waiting for it to open. And they're going to go spend the next 6 hours together. They're going to hate each other. They're going to hate their lives. I don't know. They're just sort of beyond the limits of human sadness. And to know Wildman is to constantly bear his trauma. And I think they're starting to sense that.
I mean, don't ask him why he's named Wildman. You're going to get a bad answer. And this is the worst answer in such an unexpected direction. You're like, oh, I didn't think I was going to be sad by the end of this. I thought, so do you like to party? No, I said, go to bars and open them up.
Yes. And it cost me everything.
All right, so he takes him to where he encountered Hogzilla, of course, and Wildman says he was down there a month ago looking for coins. He seen me a hog or something, about as big as a truck bed long, 8 feet, 1,000 pounds black, and you know that's hog hair. Because I know from butchering hogs way back. Had fang-like deals coming out the front of its mouth, sticking out like, I got a little curve there. Anybody spot the problem?
He has forgotten the word tusk.
He's forgotten the word tusk.
The team who gave him this description for the purposes of the show did not say tusk. Like let's take that again. Because again, the whole magic of the show, I'm not convinced, is in the fact that they don't do second takes under any circumstances. Like everything you're seeing is clearly the first time they've done it. Clearly. And yeah, he forgot the word tusk, even though it is extremely important for what we're doing here today. And that's it. We just have to, like, nobody says it because you don't want to, he's trying to give his testimony. You don't want to one-up him or something. But
I was really troubled by this because he didn't even start with the story. Normally they meet a guy and he's like, yeah, I saw this creature you guys are talking about. He's just like, I'm Wildman. I got that name because I'm a terrible alcoholic. Let's go to a second location. And they're like, okay. Like, no, you're going to die. Get out of there.
It's my kid's school. You need to tell him something for me. I'm not allowed in there anymore.
This guy might not be related to Hogzilla at all. He's just a guy they met in the woods who has said nothing about giant hogs, with or without hands.
Oh,
yet.
No. I think you've met Hogzilla. I think it's a metaphor.
Oh, that does make sense.
So he says he knows all about hog hair from butchering hogs professionally, but he doesn't know what a tusk is.
Right.
Some
inconsistencies.
a little bit.
He's also wielding a weapon. I feel we should mention that he's wielding a weapon.
Yeah, he says, I had this here club with me. And would anyone like to describe that weapon?
A crowbar? He's got a crowbar?
It's a little club. And and he says he could take Hogzilla with it. And Trapper says, you could hit him all day with that and wouldn't hurt him. And Wildman says, tell you what, this thing's a pretty good little weapon. Take something like this here and watch your eyes. And then he bashes like a piece of slate and sends little shards of it flying everywhere. And the boys are just astonished.
Yeah.
And he looks up at them real hurt and says, ooh, that stung.
It's a real solid club demonstration.
It stung his hands. It stung his little hands. It stung his little pig hands.
Oh, you think this is the human form of Hogzilla?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
I do. Can you prove me wrong? Can you defy me in any way?
I can't. Well, Hogzilla would know the name for tusks. Wait, anyone would. But Hogzilla would pretend not to know.
Right, pretending too hard.
Yep. The hog doth protest too much, as the saying goes in West Virginia.
So Wildman has brought out a weapon and demonstrated the way he bashes with it, and they're like, I'm going to hang out here.
Yep.
I love it.
This
I love
is the
it.
best. This
Can
guy's
we
great.
see more of your antics, sir? And
Fuck around. Let's just escalate this violence.
He gladly does. Well, first he says, he clarifies that the pig stood up on his hind legs and swiveled about on his torso like a periscope on a submarine, and also moved his neck some. And Trapper is just fucking floored. Like, He didn't give a shit that this had human hands and could stand up on its hind legs. He was like, no, it can't. But then he's like, it can rotate at the torso. And Trapper's like, oh my God.
If any of you out there are ever in a bad mood, if you're ever anxious, if you're ever feeling really down or just feeling full of dread about the state of the world, I want you to close your eyes. And if you can picture things in your head, I know that everybody can do that. I want you to picture a giant pig standing up on its hind legs and then rotating around like a periscope as its tiny little dainty little hoof legs kind of have to like just kind of tiptoe around to rotate itself around. And
can we put him in a tuxedo?
Just picture it doing that for a while and your mood will improve by 70 to 80%.
Just begging the woods for a volunteer.
This is a Miyazaki character. It's adorable. So Wildman takes Buck up the trail where he saw Hogzilla, and then good time banjo music kicks in, and without a fucking word, Wildman just starts doing a crazy little jig all the way down the hill. It's kind of like running. Sean's right. It's how a kobold would run.
Yeah, it's a scamper. It's a scamper.
Yeah, it's a scamper. It's definitely like how a leprechaun would get away from you, but in a playful fashion,
right.
Like if he knew you weren't going to catch him. Which, to be fair, it's Buck.
If I understanding this
that's-
correctly, he was trying to demonstrate how fast the Hogzilla moved. He's like, it's a very quick
He
creature.
did not say that. Buck said that.
Okay, Buck.
He didn't say a
retconned
fucking
that.
thing.
Okay.
Yes, he didn't say a fucking thing. He's just completely crazy and on something, and he decided, I'm going to run down the hill. And Buck's like, well, what I think he was doing was demonstrating how fast Hogzilla is, and what Buck says is, well, if he was doing that, I would have to say he and Hogzilla must move pretty quick.
Yep. Good point.
Extremely helpful if you've never seen something run before.
Yeah. Very helpful.
And in response to all of this, Jeff insults his entire crew by saying, Wild Man's the most interesting person I've ever seen.
He's just a diet Wild Bill. He's just a sadder
Just
Wild Bill.
Ripped to the gills on interest. Just smoked a whole bag of interest right before this.
Climbs a tree.
There was a moment
You're
here
right,
where
he
Buck,
is Wild Bill. He climbs the tree.
Buck steps away because his role now is this pig does not have fucking hands or a rotatable torso. So he's like, it's just a pig, guys. It's just a pig. And I was really disappointed in him because it was like 3 weeks ago where he fought the alien from Aliens. And now he's like,
Yes.
There's no such thing as a pig that can wiggle. This a bipedal pig? I don't remember the word for it. That's Jeff.
So much the just wild oscillations and stakes. Like, literally, wasn't it Stanleycaster was last episode, right? No, it was Cave Creature.
Right.
So 2 episodes ago, you personally got attacked by a group of pterodactyls. Like, personally. Not, oh, we almost saw him. You were like, that fucker stole my scarf, and I'll never get it back. Like, you personally fought. You fist fought a pterodactyl, and now you're like, this pig can stand? No.
Hey, no such thing as a weird pig.
So Wildman does just run up a tree like Bill, which is great. I think we know what a certain type of person does when they're on a certain type of thing, and they go right up a tree. They can go right up a tree is what they do.
We've met this personality type before. So he's like auditioning for the show. He's like, Wild Bill could die at any moment. Maybe give Wild Man a call.
That's exactly it. He thinks the grown-up form of Wild Bill is man. Bill is the child form. I am the man.
I wonder if this wasn't a case where during this episode, if they weren't in contract negotiations with the actor who plays Wild Bill.
Yep.
And they weren't like trying to imply like, hey, you could get written out of the show. We've got a spare here we could use. That I wonder if Wildman didn't just test so poorly with audiences that they came back and met Wild Bill's outrageous demands.
His original name was Wildman Leverage, and they dropped that when they realized nobody liked Wildman.
Yeah, he's somehow a less charming version. On paper, it should be identical, but it's just not. He lacks the charisma. Trapper does say Wildman's cut out of the same mold we are. Hell, he took a whiz when we're talking to him, and they cut to him, and sure enough, he is. He's just pissing on a tree.
Pissing like a gorilla.
And then explains that all of them urinate in front of each other, but Jeff and Buck refuse to. They're the only two who will not whip out their dongs in front of the rest of the crew. And this was stated into a camera and then left in the show after the edit.
So it's Chekhov's dong, right? Like, we have to see him hang.
They'll stop a monster with those sticks.
May take seasons later before it pays off, but tuck that away. Tuck that away, viewer, listeners. Don't
Buck
you dare.
will have to hang his Native American dong in order to stop some sort of rampaging beast. Like, yes.
Guys, Hogzilla has 2 hands. We need something to keep those 2 hands busy. But Jeff and Buck are
There
too
it is.
shy. They've got to overcome their shyness. That's the art.
Oh, perfect. The perfect episode of television. Wildman points to where Hogzilla was rooting for grubs, and it's Buck who decides this is fresh and not a month old. It's just a day or so he was right here, and Trapper says, Wildman, thanks for having us. This is vital information.
Yeah, they found a little disturbed dirt, little nibbled flower garden. They're like, this was definitely a 1,200-pound super hog with hands.
It is fairly recent the Buck started doing that kind of forensic stuff that used to be exclusively Trapper's deal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they discussed off camera, like, hey, we're going to Because there's a clear effort where it's to make Buck not be the rookie anymore. That didn't last very long. And now, these next couple episodes, they've elevated him to, he's special. Like, he can, because this thing where he could look at a pile of dirt and say, a Hogzilla dug for grubs here. Not a wild hog, not some other animal. Right. This disturbed dirt is specifically the work of a creature that is previously totally unknown to science.
Yeah, you can see in the dirt where he was stuck in his long, foot-long, they got like a little curve to him. He put him in the dirt. I don't know what they are. It just occurs to me, especially the last few episodes.
Face ham nail. I just thought of the name. A face ham nail. Sorry to interrupt.
You're right, though. I'm glad we have that information. Back from your history when you were butchering hogs, of course, you know that. Of course. Buck is always in charge of the B team now. He doesn't say you three are on a team. He always says, Buck, you're taking whoever. He's in charge now. He's the second in command.
He's the next trapper.
I felt like Jeff was that role at the start. Jeff was always in charge.
By next season, they're going to have Jeff as the rookie. And there's a 67-year-old man. They're going to demote him to the rookie and start hazing him.
I think there's got to be a reason for this. I think Jeff is going to have a big redemption arc where, like, the information on something's Wikipedia page will save the entire team.
Or it's just a thing where test audiences just love Buck. This was the nightmare behind the show Family Matters, where the writers did not like the fact that all audiences wanted was more Urkel. They did not want to write the Urkel show. It was supposed to be about a working class, a black family that's going to take on actual issues. But the audience is like, no, we want all Urkel shenanigans all the time. So by like season 4, Urkel's building a goddamn time machine. That's what's happened here, I think. I think Buck is the team's Urkel. I think there were people wearing their Buck t-shirts and their Buck lunch boxes. And like, nope,
as soon as he said Husky Ninja.
I feel like we're overestimating the Discovery Travel Plus budget for testing. I feel like if you had a single focus group come in, that's triple the budget of an entire season of this show.
Or if a single person left a single comment on their Facebook page.
Yeah, that's it.
I like Buck. That's it. That's it. All right. Buck, we need to start building up Buck.
Testing through the roof. All right, so it's time for the night investigation. They're all out there now. Trapper says, I can see from this brush how Hogzilla has learned to stand up and see.
It makes a kind of sense, right? Like you got to stand up to get out of the brush. Normally this would take millions of years of evolution. Hogzilla did it in, I guess, 230 years, 240 years.
He girafed himself.
Yeah.
I can see right here, he girafed himself is what he done. Just what a great sentence to come out of your mouth, Trapper. Trapper insists the one advantage they have is they can hear him coming in the thick brush, because he's going to sound like a freight train coming for him. And Huckleberry adds, he gonna be coming. He gonna be coming hard. Which I want to mentally replace Hogzilla with he, and that's Hogzilla gonna be coming. Hogzilla gonna be coming hard.
So fucking dumb. Like, why? He always thinks everything's moving at top speed.
It's always just charging him. He's ready for it. He's security. Buck does point out there is something very true here that is happening. Buck says, no, it's Trapper who first says, hogs attack people and all the time. And like, you are in a lot of fucking trouble if a big hog like this attacks you, which you are. They're very dangerous. They're extremely powerful. They are very aggressive. If you were actually hunting a hog, this entire team would be dead. And it's great that they know that. Huckleberry says, hogs will eat anything. He'll eat one of us if we go down. Buck just goes, I'll guarantee it. He'll eat us immediately.
Yeah, they say they'll get eaten if they fall down. But I would argue that aside from nutrition, firearm safety, diabetes, I'd say falling down is their main weakness.
Yes, it's up there. It's sure up there. So those are the stakes. Now, you can't fall, or Hogzilla will get you. He'll pull you away with his baby hands, just rip you right back into the brush.
I know this is stating the obvious here on episode 18 of the show. But the fact that they create the entire fiction of the show and that they do not actually grant themselves any kind of above average abilities to do, because the question some people might ask is, why these guys? What's their qualification versus literally anyone you know and 5 of your friends? Why, what made these guys so special? And they will try to improvise some kind of CSI stuff, but it never helps them. These creatures always sneak right up on them every time. They never see them coming. They're always taken, like, the failure, and like Buck acknowledging, we have no defenses against this thing whatsoever. We're just several out of shape men in the dark. And it's just funny that because you can make up anything that you could, I don't know, say that you all served on some sort of special forces or something that it kind of gives hope. Like, hey, here's why you at home shouldn't come out and try this. Here's why only we can do this.
Like a Ghost Hunter show, they'll do that. They'll say, I am like sensitive to this type of psychic energy or whatever. I think it shows a real character for them not to do that. You're right.
Yeah, there's absolutely no qualifications, and they never correct that. If anything, they double down. Buck even said, like, okay, listen, even if this isn't Hogzilla, we're fucking dead. If this is just a pig, we're all dead. If it's just a thing we know exists, we're done. That's it. Buck finds some Hogzilla sign and calls Trapper, really taking over that Jon Snow spot, that hillbilly Jon Snow. There's a big rustle, and of course they all jump because we found Hogzilla. We found him. We spent 3 minutes in the woods at night. We found Hogzilla. Jeff, impossibly, has something on thermal right off. He just says, I got something on thermal.
And he does. It could be
Not
a man
playing.
lumbering. Could be a super pig.
It could. You can't prove it's not a super pig because you also can't prove it's anything.
He sees a tiny little blob and says, now that's 1,000 pounds.
He just judges it immediately. I know what 1,000 pounds of thermal looks like.
Again, you could make up a fictional device. I'm like, hey, we built this thing. It can detect the weight of a creature. It can do stuff that no off-the-shelf machine can do.
Yeah.
A long-distance laser scale.
He could be a full Egon.
Where it will detect the warmth of something that's been urinated on 5 hours ago. It's like, well, this machine can do that. I built this. Jeff, in my home lab, I built this device. And then I put like a Sony insignia on it. It's just
For my mom, her name was Sony.
But I also like the fact that in the truck they said this thing was 1,200 pounds. The first witness only called it 1,000 pounds, so now it's just 1,000 pounds.
Now,
he downgraded
again because there's no second takes.
So this is a human centipede made entirely out of shacks. just to give the listener reference.
For how big that would be, yes. Yes, I understand. Now we hear Hogzilla's roar, and you would think there's some sort of terrible squeal but amplified Jurassic Park style, like you got a bass of an actual thing. It's a hog. What instead we get is kind of an asthmatic horse laugh.
Yeah.
A little bit of a Morrissey whale song.
It's a person doing it, right? Like it's one of them doing it.
Yes. And I need that noted especially because what will happen later is very crazy in relation to this. They just have somebody off camera going, whoa, and it's so inexplicable.
Later it does sound more pig-like. But
yes,
for now
later,
it's kind of a horping moose. Like a
pig sound.
Yeah.
But they've established now Morrissey whale song. Mm-hmm. They've established now it's incredible that they use a different sound because there's no second take. So they took that and then we're like, that sounded so fucking stupid. We gotta do something else.
Didn't sound like a Hogzilla at all. Who did that?
We gotta do something else next time. Just pretend. Now there's a bunch of coyotes yipping, another rustle near them, and they all spin around. And Jeff says, I don't like us being downhill this far, like he's a master tactician.
I love this because Trapper responds like, well, we got to make the best of it. Like, climbing up the hill is not an option.
Not an option.
Fuck we going to do about it?
Buck now smells it, and Trapper says, well, that smells like a damn old hog. Just so matter-of-factly. Buck spots more sign, fresh broken limbs. He follows them in and says, guys, well, what in the world? I think I found a nest.
A pig, famous nesting animal, pigs. They like
He
to.
found a Hogzilla nest. Is what he found. Hogzillas are a nesting species. My God, that's what a great thing. Why do you say a nest every time?
It's so great.
They file in to look, but something moves in the back, and they all scream in panic. And then we cut to commercial, but when we come back from commercial, Buck admits he's the only one who saw him, so they all just yelled and, like, ran away because Buck yelled. Like, oh, you yelled! That's why I yelled! Just passing the fear along.
Yeah, it does not...
Oh, Buck...
The creature did not seem like a tank. Like, they kind of showed a stick wiggling in the underbrush. It was closer to a raccoon, I guess, than a tank.
Yeah, it could literally have been a raccoon if that had not been a crew member just lying on the ground, shaking the bush.
Clearly, like, the way that they shake the bushes, like, side to side, just, like, it's very clear that it's a hand just shaking that back and forth.
I'm sure the listener's already picturing this, but the nest is like a couple of armfuls of straw, like, gently piled in sort of an oval.
Yep, he makes a nest like a bird.
Yeah, like Big Bird.
That's where he lays his Hogzilla eggs, of course.
Yeah, if the worst Sesame Street set designer in the 1970s says, I think I have an idea for Big Bird's nest. This is just a rough draft. They would have fired him. They would have fired him if he showed them this.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
But something really important happens here because Buck says, I could see it plain as day. Says it was just a few feet from him. Mm-hmm. That's crucial because if they had planned to talk to people who just have some grainy photos or video, they can cancel those interviews.
Yep. Don't need it.
Because Buck's now seen it. It was right in front of him. Like it would be going backward to just try to get somebody's stupid trail cam footage or whatever.
Exactly. So we're not going to do that. Like, we're disrupting the format clearly right here. Like, the rest of this episode is just tracking and, like, the comical antics as Hogzilla repeatedly outsmarts you. Like, just doing that thing where you're running around a tree and then he stops and he lets you just continue running, but, like, the whole team is doing that and Hogzilla's just standing there like... Suckers. Great television. No, of course none of that happens. Before we get out of here, Trapper says, I'm going to take some of this as a souvenir and shoves some filthy straw into his pocket.
Smithsonian will want this.
Some of Hogzilla's nesting straw, and the camera zooms in on his pocket as he sticks it in there. So again, this is clear.
Pay attention.
This is clear setup. This is a clear Chekhov's gun.
Right.
So again,
he's got the scent. He's going to follow Trapper.
Yeah, right. So we don't know what they're setting up here, but surely this will come back into play. The only way to find out is to stay tuned.
All right. So now that they know Hogzilla is big, I guess that's what we proved here.
I don't want to brag, but I was so certain this wouldn't pay off, I didn't even put it in my notes. When he put that in his pocket, I was just like, they're not going to do anything with that.
That doesn't mean anything. It means he likes filth. It means he collects filth. Like, if you look in all the rest of his pockets, there's just sludge and twigs from all around him. He's just filling his jacket with it. He's a forest hoarder. Hoarding the outdoors. So let's check in with Wild Bill and Willie's Crackhead Trap Shack. Wild Bill is grilling up some ribs, and what Wild Bill says is, to gear up for old Hogzilla, I'm getting plenty of pork intake. The main thing in this situation is to eat your enemy.
They taught him that in Marines.
When they cut to that and they showed Wild Bill standing there grilling ribs and there's kind of like some junk cars and stuff around him, I was like, is this Wild Bill's house? Because he's going to load it up in his truck and then go from there, meet Willie.
I think this is his place.
So was that his place?
He could live in a junkyard. Yeah. I imagine that.
I don't know if that's a junkyard. That's a real ordinary country house. People just have old cars.
Having a few dead cars in the lawn does not make it a junkyard.
That looked like his home. I love that he has a barbecue in his truck so he can deliver ribs to his friends. I was like,
hold up, we're not painting that properly because he doesn't just put the barbecue. It's a stand-up propane grill, and what he does is still cooking, straps it upright in the back of his truck and drives away, and he says, got me some old ribs back there cooking, and then he does a little vaudeville zip. He says, gonna bring old Will, I'll appreciate this This me bringing barbecued ribs. Huh. That's what we call meals on them there wheels.
Yeah, he invented a food truck.
Yeah, driving down the street with a lit grill. There's smoke pouring out of it. This is not fake. It's straight up. There's an open flame in the bed of his truck as he's driving down the highway.
From a propane tank. From a propane tank.
It's like Final Destination, but like a hee-haw parody of it, I guess.
It is. It's Final Destination, but the specter of death is just like, come on. I'm not doing this. I'm not taking that. What do you think this is? My first day? I need your fucking pity. So Willie explains what's happening here. He says Bill's going on an all-pork diet to like get in the headspace of Hogzilla, I guess. Wild Bill needs himself a toothpick, so he grabs a filthy stick and whittles one for him and Willie, which was sweet.
So can you imagine the friendship, like having a friend like this in your life that drives up to your home with fresh barbecue pork in his truck and then makes you your own toothpick out of debris?
It's beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I think this is one of my favorite Wild Bill B plots, that they're fighting Hogzillas. So he's like, you know what I ought to do is just eat pork for several days.
Yep. Gotta eat. He says it right there up front. He says, eat your enemy. That's what he believes. He has hinted at this all the way back to, I think Mothman was the first one. No, he was going to eat a Bigfoot before that.
Yeah. He adds so much life to the show.
He has consistently said all throughout the show, I'm going to eat these monsters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
I just want Wild Man to know he will never be a Wild Bill.
Right. You didn't bring that energy. You didn't try to eat Hogzilla. You ran from him. Bill would fashion a machete out of like a piece of old exhaust, and he would charge. So Willie says they're building a tunnel trap, and what that is a small box in front of a big box.
This is a Hell in the Cell cage, which sort of rules. They're going to have a handicap tornado tag match against Hogzilla at SummerSlam. Yeah!
I love how many complicated ways he has to say, I'm building a box for it. Every single time. I will say, this is probably their most impressive box. One of them.
Uh-huh.
Like he builds it, or somebody builds it, with 2-inch pipe, and he says 16 gauge cattle panel. And it actually is, it looks pretty solid, welded together. I don't think it would contain a thrashing Hogzilla, but for sure Buck's not getting out of
I feel like there's a sweet spot between like someone small enough to squeeze through the cattle panel versus someone big enough to just smash through these gentle welds that he made. I feel like if you get like a 108-pound woman in this cage, she's stuck there for a while. But anyone else in either direction gets out of that cage.
That's what the smaller box is for, is to confuse them.
Okay.
Well, you got to work on both.
I'm saying he's built a tiny woman cage and nothing else is my point. I'm suspicious of that.
Wild Bill says, that's a humdinger of a trap. Old Trapzilla. Huh.
That's pretty good. I like Trapzilla.
It shows Willie welding while Wild Bill, with no eye protection or anything, leans over, stares directly at the arc he's welding while chewing on a rib.
Just dropping rib juice on Willie's hair.
Everybody has their job.
So we go to meet our second witness. This is Bo. He's a hunter. Now, the headgear itself, identifiable headgear, that might not be much. It's just a camo hat. But I do love how his jacket has a matching camo panel on
matching
it.
Panel.
It's real cute. It's real cute.
The shoulders are camo, but the rest of the jacket is not. I am not 100% sure the utility of that, but
just from the shoulders up, like it'll really freak the shit out of some animal. It was like, there's a fucking headless guy running at me.
Well, I think it's so like when you're laying down sniping, you're invisible. But if you lean back far enough, you're ready for a very fancy cocktail party.
It's versatile. It's fashionable. I like it. He says he has video of it.
Well, now let's at least acknowledge they met this guy at his barn, another person who was willing to let them near his buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've broken that seal.
Meeting them in the middle of the wilderness. He was actually willing to let the Ames team see where his barn is and where his stuff is.
And go into it, well, probably unsupervised, which is crazy because he says that's where he keeps his tractor and his food supply for his deer. I very confused about what his life looks
He
like.
specifically
And they
said he
asked-
raised deer.
Yeah, they asked him his hobby. He said he likes to raise his deer, and I don't know what that means. If there's any listeners out there who grew up country, I'm not
That almost
familiar
certainly
with.
means illegal feed hunting.
But I've never heard anybody refer to that as
it's
raising them.
Yeah, it threw me for a loop. I have no idea what you're trying to say there. If it's what I think, it's kind of monstrous.
it's against the law.
But we're going to get another twist when he is, because he encountered Hogzilla right there at his barn and just mentions in passing, and I saw him pass in front of my jet skis. And you see that in his barn, he's also got a couple of jet skis there.
Yeah.
That elicits no questions from the team. I like to raise
Did
my
he take
deer,
one?
get out of my jet skis with my unnamed jet ski partner, and that's my life.
A jet ski, I raise deer, and I fucking hate Hogzillas. That's it. Hogzilla on a jet ski. If anybody's looking for fan art, that's it. That's what I want to see. With his little hands, like almost not big enough to work the controls. That's what I want to see. Because he's so tall. He says it, he reinforces it walks on its hind legs, and it's 8 feet tall when it does that. Trapper just very innocently says, "No way," which is real cute thing to say. He says it has claws now. So his little baby hands have claws that he used to get into his food bags. And then he gives us our stakes. He says, the reason this thing scares me is I got kids. Yeah, I got a whole generation. They're about to run him off the family farm. Been in his family for generations. Illegally feed hunting for several generations. His kids are also criminals. He's directly incriminated his children now on television.
I mean, literally says he's so afraid of Hogzilla that he doesn't bring his kids out there to deer hunt anymore.
To shoot them in this pen where he raises them.
It's also, they might be attached to the deer they've been feeding for their entire lives. That could be part of it. They don't want to watch their head explode. I think that it's telling here, because Trapper hears the stakes, that this guy's kids are in danger of Hogzilla. And that's when he says, hey, have you noticed if the deer herd population has gone down? And this guy is actually a pretty nimble improvisation guy. So he's like, yeah, now that you mention it, 50% of the population has moved away. I'm about to move away. Oh, by the way, I have a phone
now
video.
That you mention it.
He's just...
Now that you mention it, it has killed half of the wildlife in this area. You're right, I forgot about that.
Because
it piles them up on my doorstep in a giant pyramid that I think it lives in, but I forgot.
Right.
Because
it's the Hogzilla that killed the wildlife, not me and my children.
Trapper realizes partway through the interview is like, well, now hold on. We've only established that this thing ate some corn from this guy's barn. That clearly cannot be that unusual of an occurrence, because they, once again, have not gotten the note that I think they will eventually get, that the creature in the testimony needs to have attacked the witness.
Mm-hmm.
So he tries to egg him toward, well, is it possible he's a vicious hunter too? It's like, well, now that you mention it.
Yeah, he's down for it.
They're once again reinforcing for it to stand on its hind legs is insane. Huckleberry says, well, that bum fumbles me, which... fantastic.
Great.
Bo used a phone to film it, so obviously what we see is, I'm gonna say, look, I'm being generous, I'm gonna say it's about 1/4 of the butt of a brown thing?
Yeah.
It's a bear.
Yeah. Or it's a
I wouldn't go that far.
paper doll animated monster crudely CGI'd onto a video for as little money as possible.
That's probably closer to it. I was going to say, like an old Muppet that they had around, like one of the kids had like an old Muppet.
It could be, yeah.
It's Fosse. It's a Fosse bear.
It might have been his
Sure.
wife, like, moving a blanket out of the shed.
It could have been. It could have been. All of that is... It's... Just like 10 episodes ago, we had... You photoshopped like a monitor lizard into a forest, and it looked ridiculous, but it looked like something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get how we're downgrading so far. This is the least they've ever had about anything.
Well, this is my complaint, is the entire discussion is, does this thing get up on its hind legs? So the entire thing they need is a video of this thing getting up on its hind legs. So I don't know. I guess I just thought somebody had it, because it's not that hard to get video of a black bear. They exist. They will come eat stuff out of your barn. So it doesn't, I don't know. It's not that crazy to me that somebody could have captured a few pixels of a bear walking behind everything, and then they passed that off to Hogzilla. Because if they faked with After Effects a Hogzilla video, couldn't they have gotten the front end of it with its tusk?
Sure.
Or
Is that what you got? I don't know what that word is.
That's harder than part of a butt is though. Like,
okay,
you got to design that. You've forgotten that yes, it's the hind legs. Like we have to prove the hind legs and tiny little hands, and we actually find that here. Buck finds some trampled grass, and Trapper says, "Can you see it?" And he lays his hand down, and like this is a hand shaped print.
I think what we're forgetting when it comes to the CGI stuff, I feel like they just have the thigh guy. Like when they say, "Hey, we have a," when they go to their CGI guy, they're like, "Look, do you need thighs?" They're like, "Absolutely." Well, he's like, "That's all I can do."
Can you goose up the teeth to like look scary? Nah, every time I try it, they're just all over the fucking
don't have a
place.
tooth
I can
button.
really only
Give you more thigh.
really only do the thighs. I'm Rob Liefeld, but like I can only do thighs,
Right.
And everything else I try to hide, like just strategically place it so it's off screen. So I just want to hit this point.
Okay.
They find some trampled grass. Trapper puts his hand down, like, oh, look, it's in the pattern of a hand. And then he looks back over his shoulder and says to Bo, "You got a monster on your farm." And Bo says, "Yeah, that's what's got me worried."
Yep. Yes, stand it. Yes.
That's why I called
yes, and I'm
Monster
worried.
Hunters, I guess.
The thing that's great about this, and what's so fortunate about this for them, one, this is now a known food source for Hogzilla. The entire point of this is they're afraid it's going to come back. There's definitely no need to go through the trouble of building a trap. Use the barn. One door open, rig it so that you can slam it closed once Hogzilla's inside, put some corn in there, just stake out that. Just go tell Willie and Wild Bill, take the day off. It would be ridiculous to build a completely separate structure in a completely different location when we know Hogzilla comes here to feed. Like, this is it. Here's your trap.
I feel
Close
like
the door, burn it down. You got popcorn and Hogzilla ribs.
What you just said, Jason, might be the theme of this episode, and I guess we'll get to that. But like, that there are better ways to do what they constantly do. They could stop making these terrible makeshift boxes and use the boxes the Earth has provided us in the form of buildings.
And also, there's something that I guess we probably should have mentioned already because the speculation of whether or not Hogzilla has hooves or hands on its front. In the rendering, the way they handled it is they gave it hooves, but they kind of put them in shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So
Rob
even the
Liefeld
person doing the rendering is like, well, you don't know.
It could be tiny hands. I'm not going to render that. That's hard, but it could
I
be.
can't do hands with the software. There is no chance of that. So
I goose up those thighs another 30%, though. They looking good. So let's go back to the trap shack. There's a big A-team welding montage, and Wild Bill says, "Yeah, good making prog, bro."
He is double fisting hot dogs.
He is double fisting hot dogs, and Willie turns to him like, "I need your help with a welding rod." Wild Bill looks at one hot dog, looks at the other hot dog, looks back to the first hot dog, and then looks at Willie and like, "I don't know what to do about that." I think he actually says, "I got my hands full. Like, you can't ask this from him." Wild Bill explains, "I'm on day 2 of this pork diet. Huh. I can already feel the energy, the strength from this." He's doing a Craven the Hunter.
Yes.
He's fueling up on spiders so he can fight the Spider-Man. So he's fueling.
Wild Bill's last hunt.
I love the logic so much. I'm gonna eat nothing but pig until I can understand the pig.
What was he eating? Listeners, go ahead and try this. Just eat hot dogs for 5 days and see how you feel. Like, what was Bill eating before this, where this change in diet was like a wonderful increase in nutrition?
It got that good, clean pork energy, said Wild Bill and nobody else on Earth. So let's get to the third witness. This third witness has trail photos. We just had video, and we've seen it. I think we're working exactly backwards this episode. Guys. We saw it, we got video of it, and then we got a picture of it.
It's not just that we had video of it. We had iPhone video of it. We've reached an era where in this part of the country, it's now routine for the normal working person to have an iPhone, which, the iPhone circa 2014 was not an 8K camera, but it was a decent camera even back then.
Sure.
So there's really no reason for every single witness from here on out to not have iPhone video.
Well, let's see. Let's see if that really is a change in the times, or if we still get trail cam photos every fucking time.
But we've got a little bit of comedy riffing to do first.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Wild Bill is lost, and he's late. We've decided that's the funny thing that he does. And Buck says, I'm curious how Bill's gonna do on his first investigation. Wild Bill's coming along. He's coming along to talk to the eyewitnesses.
I feel like they've done this before, right?
Was this episode supposed to air before Wild Bill's Bear Beast?
Right.
Because in that episode, when he was in the truck briefing at the start, and then he went and talked to the first witnesses and all that, and it was catastrophic. They didn't treat it as we're breaking the seal on something. It was treated as something he had done before. So was this episode supposed to air before that, or has Wild Bill completely forgotten the events of his Bear Beast confrontation?
They're both very likely.
Not just Wild Bill, but everybody. Buck for sure. Everybody's forgotten about that. It was like 4 episodes ago. Wild Bill says, can't wait to talk to these eyewitnesses. Find out where this thing's at, what his habits are, what his feeding patterns is, where he's bedding. God, you're going to be so heartbroken.
Yeah, he's going in there with like real agenda. And
yeah.
It was the worst I don't think he understands how it works. Like, they show up, they let Wildman climb a tree and bash some rocks, and then they look at the dumbass photo, and then they leave without the photo.
So they're going to tear ass for their third witness. Wild Bill jumps on the back of the forest golf cart, and he says, let it move to her, Trapper. I mean, hog open. Pour it on.
Let it move to her. I mean, hog open. I always have the captions on. That is how it was transcribed.
I listened to it a few times. Let it move to her, Trapper. I mean, hog open.
Brother.
Pour it on. Like, I know he doesn't know what he's going to say when he starts talking, and it's never ended in such disaster as that. Although, God damn it, if hog open isn't going right into my vocabulary.
Yeah, I will. If somebody out there wants to make me a t-shirt that says, let it move to her, I mean, hog open. And you choose the illustration. It doesn't matter. It could literally be a picture of a hot dog. That would be fine. But also the question of why did they meet here and then have to separately take the golf carts to go meet the witnesses? Why didn't they just all meet there's always these extra steps that you would not do. That's how you know the show is real, because you would not do this in fiction.
Right, they're trying to sell how remote everybody is. Like, you can't get to them with one vehicle, even if your second vehicle is just a lesser version of the first. You still need... They're a 3-vehicle remote. Doesn't matter what they are. So it's Tom and Elaine. Tom and Elaine is the third witness together.
They are hobbyists.
Buck says they're good old folks. A lot of hobbies in a way that like implies something I don't know. I'm not sure what he's saying.
They're swingers.
But then
They're
it introduces
swingers.
them.
Hold on.
It introduces them and it lists their job as hobbyists underneath their name. Like that's their profession. It's great. Tom's identifiable headgear is kind of one of those Russian ear flap hats, and Elaine's is being a woman. That's good enough.
Sure.
She's got some Indian arrowheads on a necklace around her.
Yeah, that counts. I think just being a female in this show is like, what the fuck is happening
it's
here?
Legitimately, it startles you for a moment because you don't realize that it never happens until it's like, oh yeah.
Until she says something, and then you're like, yeah, why are you here? You should be better than this.
She might
Right?
have the first line of a woman on the show.
So Trapper says to Tom, see, you drag the old missus out with you, and Tom says, that's my sister.
Now, they are not meeting these people for the first time, is the thing. This was an arranged meeting for the show, right? Like they talk to him on the phone or something. Why is that there? Why is that line there for Trapper? Was there confusion when he talked to them for the first time? Why leave it in the edit?
They're just pretty nakedly implying they're doing it. He's doing it with his
gotta be
sister.
it,
I think
right?
that's the only thing that you could achieve by doing this, unless that was a genuine misunderstanding. But again, this is from...
It was weird they showed him kissing for 3 straight minutes.
Yeah, it was a little strange. The hand stuff I felt was pretty tasteful, though.
Yeah.
I feel like the moment he says, "Oh, that's my sister," they cut to like Huckleberry from a moment. Like this is Huckleberry's cue. Like, oh, I'm about to go on a pork diet of my own.
He misses that cue, but goddamn, that would have been great. Elaine says, Tom showed me his pictures, and I took one look at that pic. I said, that's one big bad boy. She is stealing the fucking show here.
Every
She
line.
goes on to say, a hog can be very dangerous. People think of them as cute little piggy banks. They ain't. When they get to be 1,000 pounds, you ain't got that many pennies, kid.
The best line of the show ever. She had to have written that in advance, and I mean, if she just talks like that, she should replace several members of the team.
Oh yeah, I'd watch her spinoff 100%.
Yeah. To pull that just out of her butt on the fly, like people think of them as cute little piggy banks. They ain't. They get to be 1,000 pounds. You ain't got that many pennies, kid. It's like, damn. I know nobody on the Mountain Monsters production team wrote that line for her. She brought that to this.
That's something Colonel
'Cause otherwise
Troutman would
they
say
would
if
be-
you were like talking about Rambo Pig too loud. He'd like walk into the room. You think of Rambo Pig like a little piggy bank. Son, you go hunting Rambo Pig in this jungle. There's one more thing you gotta bring. Good supply of pennies.
There's always this sort of background war for them to get like the line of the episode that goes into the trailer. And like Huckleberry going like, murder in the sky, boys. Like it's...
Yeah, the devil's in the
you
sky.
have that. Yeah, devil's in the sky. You have that written out. Like you think you're going to have it. And they didn't give it to Elaine. In the little pre-roll they do before the show, they did not play this line.
Yep.
Which is insane.
And the second one, that's one big bad boy. She delivers that really well too. That also
that's
could have been
one
a supercut.
bad boy. She didn't even make it. It's crazy. So Tom hands over his trail cam photo. It's definitely some kind of hog. It turns out they didn't make up hogs.
This is a bad fake picture of an ordinary pig. There's no need to fake it. They could just take a picture of a regular pig next to like trees that look kind of small and then be like, wow, look at how fucking big that pig is. Or just find a pig that's quite big and be like, that's a Hogzilla. I don't know. I just don't understand the
picture
subterfuge. Why?
Of the many existing Hogzillas that are out there.
Put two catcher's mitts
make up
on a pig and shoot it when it's dark.
But the lines that unspool from the team at the side of this photo shows their inferiority to Elaine. Because Wild Bill shouts, "Look at the ham on that thing."
I think this is in character because remember his character is that he just wants to eat pigs all day.
Yeah.
So he has to.
He eats the pig to become the pig.
Huckleberry says, "Look here, you can even see the muscles in his back." And you can't, once again, see scene details that are not there. The resolution is not high enough. And then Buck helpfully chimes in with, "That's a big hog."
Let Elaine take it.
God damn.
Elaine, speaking of, she adds, if you guys get him, we'll have a party. I'll do the cooking. You do the shaving. Just, again, pretty good. And Wild Bill just says, I'll do the eating.
And I'm glad that we're too mature to imply that that was all some kind of sexual invitation
Far
to
too
some
much.
sort of a swinger event. You guys catch this thing and we'll have a party. I'll do the cooking, you do the shaving, Wild Bill says, and I'll do the eating.
Yeah.
And Huckleberry says, I'll hold you to that.
And I'll crank the old Hogzilla. I'll sit in the hog chair. Just crank away.
Everybody's got their job.
Special hog chair just for this. So Trapper is still adding stakes. He says we have to go after Hogzilla right now because when he exhausts the food supply in this area, he's out of here. So now we have a timetable. We have a ticking clock. We gotta go. Well, let's check back in with the trap. They've found a big old field to put the trap in, and Trapper rolls up and says, "That's a hog trap."
So when he watches Hell in the Cell matches, he's like, "The Undertaker's going to throw that guy off the top of that hog trap."
Yep. He has to assume from context. Look at those hogs go. They got real hands.
The Undertaker's been a giant hog with human hands this whole time.
He has to assume from content they're in a hog trap. Somebody has caught them. Willie offers to cage wrestle Buck, and Buck kind of grabs him jokingly, and Willie slams him into the wire. Just like, no, fuck you. I'm getting out of this cage first. And then he fakes a fall to it, but Buck eats it into that wire. Willie was not fucking around. They install the springs for it to the doors to swing shut once the hog gets in there, and then they set it, and then they go to test it. And I swear to God, I'm not lying about the following dialogue. Trapper says, "When you say cocked, that sumbitch is cocked." To which Willie says, "I'll count to 3, and I'll jerk mine while you jerk yours." And then they camouflage it and go to bait it. And Trapper asks Buck if he thinks he's got something stinky in his sack. Buck says, "Not this time. It's just corn." And Huckleberry looks at him and says, "Now you don't have to gag." That's how that unfolds.
Amazing. They're coming. They're coming hard.
Hogzilla. This is the Hogzilla episode. You know what you're doing.
If they were trying to do this, it would be almost genius. It would be such an elegant 40-minute dick joke.
Now you don't have to gag anymore.
But after every time I had the word Hogzilla in my notes, I had written the phrase, "That was my nickname in high school." Have I said that even once in this episode? No. Because that's not the kind of show this is.
Classy.
So Wild Bill just says, "Just one more thing left to do," and then he runs away and grabs a full store-wrapped ham and starts cutting pieces off it with a machete. And when I say pieces, I mean fist-sized hunks that he can just mow into. And Trapper gives us the explanation in a testimonial. He goes, "Bill said we needed pork power."
Going out in the woods with your bros and passing the ham around. I mean, that's a fucking great afternoon. I loved all this.
It does look good. I would actually have enjoyed eating a bunch of ham out in the middle of the woods. Yeah. And I think it's Wild Bill who screams, "Man, I've been eating this pork. I fear nothing." Which I would have that on a shirt willingly.
Hold on, he says more than that. He says, "We're gonna eat our enemy. Man, I've been eating this pork. I fear nothing. We get a hold of him," meaning Hogzilla. "We get a hold of Hogzilla. He is my pork."
He is my pork.
I'm sorry I didn't do that in the Wild Bill voice. It was more important to be understood.
Yeah. Like Wild Bill is when he talks.
The escalating series of insane things. We're gonna eat our enemy.
We skipped over how they camouflaged their Hell in the Cell cage by they draped. I would say they covered about 6% of it with dry grass. It's kind of
the problem is they're not camouflaging it to look like anything because it's still a giant thing in the middle of a field that happens to have some straw on it. They've not, camouflage, you make it look like something else. So they just throw some grasses or whatever on it. It's like, all right.
Hogzilla,
as if the Hogzilla knows the difference between a giant steel structure and a giant steel structure that has some grass on it and would have no problem with the second thing.
Right.
Also, it's two cages, one smaller cage, one bigger cage. They only camouflage the smaller cage, and they leave the much bigger cage completely visible, as though like he's just going to run in here thinking it's a tunnel. Why can't he see the giant building behind it? Well, the distance that a Hogzilla can focus. They learn to stand to look over the brush, but they can't see. Is the thing.
Well, but keep in mind they've put corn in there. Where else is it going to find corn to eat?
Good. That's a really
in this
good
part
point.
of the world.
Corn and apples. It's so cute. All right, so it's time. It's time for the final hunt. We have had our murder ham. We're fueled up on the flesh of our enemy. We're ready to just kick some ass, and then Buck does not get that vibe. As soon as we cut into the final hunt, Buck reiterates that he thinks this is just a big hog, and then he takes a little beat, and he also reiterates, "I don't think we can take it."
Yeah.
It's just a big hog, but that's enough. That's enough, guys.
They kind of go for this like funny outlaw thing here, where they're starting their night hunt right by a no hunting sign, and I was like, yeah, you guys are fucking Johnny Cash, outlaws.
Johnny Cash of Hogzillas. The man in black of Hogzillas.
Oh, and Jeff brought a piece of ham because he was worried that if Wild Bill gets too far away, he's going to die. So he brought a piece of ham to keep Bill nearby. And again, in any other story, this would be foreshadowing. But when I saw this, I'm like, they're not going to do anything with that ham. Like at first, my first instinct was like, oh, he's going to imprint the scent of Hogzilla's lover onto himself. And then, yeah, Hogzilla's going to smell that ham and say, oh, hot lady, this way.
The delivery of this moment where Jeff reveals that, like, okay, so the context is they're splitting up into teams, and they warn Wild Bill, you can't go charging off again. I know you're juiced up on hog. You're just full of that good pork energy, but you've got to stay with your team. And Jeff says, no, guys, I got that covered. Right. And then what he does is really slowly wrestles open like the crayon pocket on his overalls, on his little overalls, to reveal he keeps it full of ham. And then he shyly withdraws a single piece and shows it to everybody and says, this'll keep him within a few feet.
God damn it, Jeff. It's so fucking stupid.
Ham pocket.
The joke being that, haha, this man likes ham, but yeah, it's an objectively delicious food, you dumbass. Go back to the library.
No, the real joke is you got a ham pocket.
You got a ham pocket.
You got a ham pocket in your overalls. Once again, they lock and load. It is very unconfident. I think we didn't mention it the first time we did this, but this is a 2 lock and load episode. You're right. It's a 2 lock and load episode. Both times, like the lowest confidence I've ever seen of them just like picking up and like very carefully looking like which part does the... All right, I'm just going to move this thing and see if that does the noise. They're going to split up into 2 teams. I think the plan here is one is going to take the east side and one's going to take the west side. And what they're going to do is like converge.
You're not making any sense.
Almost converge like... I wish there was a word for it. There's not, though.
This is...
like 2 trains just running at it. 2 Hogzillas charging at each other through the brush. It's a dual Hogzilla.
It's kind of a
maneuver.
It's kind of a brilliant plan. I think they just now invented it, where the 2 teams come from 2 different directions. But what this is going to do, it's going to push the Hogzilla into the very carefully disguised corn feasting cage that has a very, 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 very narrow opening, and then he'll go in there and get locked inside the crudely welded together cage for a small human woman.
And then he will use his tiny, nimble, pick-locking little hands to just delicately move all of the latches. He'll leave a little calling card there. Hogzilla was here. Better luck next time. So they hear rustling. Both teams. This is important. Both teams hear rustling. So they are both under attack. And you're thinking like, oh shit. Here's the escalation, right? Dual Hogzillas.
Double hog.
Yeah, or Mothman teleporting super hog. Could be.
Could be any other.
Jeff has
could be a nearby person, raccoon.
Nope.
No.
All of the Russells are hog based.
Okay.
We could tell just by listening to them. That's hog. Those are hog hands shaking that. Jeff has it on thermal again. He has. Correct me if I'm wrong. He has had something on thermal every single time this episode. He hasn't said no once.
Every single time.
I feel like his feelings are real hurt, and he feels like he's on thin ice. 'Cause he's so cooperative. Buck and stops his whole team to marvel at like the scratches and the sign that they find. You're looking at him on thermal. You just said, I'm looking at him on thermal, and Buck goes, "What? He pissed right here. He pissed right here." And Jeff looks away from Hogzilla on thermal to look at the Hogzilla piss on thermal.
This
And
happens
establish that it's hot.
often enough that it has to be in the Mountain Monsters drinking game now. Take a drink whenever they are in hot pursuit of the animal right in front of them, like close enough they can hear it. Like they can hear it breaking branches, and they stop the pursuit to look at a footprint, a broken branch, a
It's
urine
piss
puddle.
a lot lately.
Yeah.
It's piss a lot. I've never seen... This is maybe not the last time. It's the first time I think Jeff has been looking directly at it, like, I have it, let's go get it. And then he pans down to instead look at its piss.
Yeah, let's. What's this, pee-pee? Willie, there's a moment where Willie tries to escalate things because they're like listening to the brush and they're like, "Oh, I think I hear something rustling." And Willie says, "I also hear bellowing and thrashing on logs." And it's like, okay, I like your spirit.
Like telling
here.
the audio production team to put that in there,
Yeah.
and they don't.
They don't do it.
Shut the fuck up, Shakespeare. We don't need any of that. Excellent hog left, you fucking asshole.
We
What are you,
hear
from college?
pee-pee. We hear a tree full of pee-pee. Let's
So
now, explore that
What
fully.
happens next confuses me a lot. Because Buck is going to say the hog is heading for the trap. He's going to radio Trapper, who's on the presumably miles away, as their pincer movement has to encompass the whole wilderness. And then Trapper tells Buck to use his hog call.
Right? Get
Which
it away from
would
that trap.
draw the Hogzilla back toward him,
Uh-huh.
right? Because they're pushing him toward the trap. It would pull him away from the trap.
unless
Am
the
I
only thing
confused?
Hogzilla fears is another Hogzilla.
Or here's my theory that he's actually communicating with it. He's saying, "Go to the trap. Go get in that trap."
But it also, and man, I almost feel foolish saying this, but it almost seems like if they had a call tool that would cause the Hogzilla to approach,
Mm-hmm.
they should position themselves at the trap.
Right. In the trap.
And just make that noise and then draw the Hogzilla to the trap that way, instead of doing this thing, whatever you call the maneuver, where they form two arms that squeeze together.
They don't have a name for
two
it.
sides.
The hug maneuver? Is that something?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't want to question their expertise because, again, to circle back to what we started with, we're about to be proven wrong and they're about to be proven right. So this is why I'm not out there. This is why it's them and not me.
Yeah, this is more an exercise to show our thinking along the way, like the good time that we were having, and hopefully you at home can learn that you can still be wrong. You can still be hoping to just have sort of a joyous and carefree good time and still be committing provable libel against American heroes. So they've got him. He's heading right for the trap. They got him by the barn. It's time to jump in the Forest golf carts and haul ass. Buck screams, "Hogzilla's ours, boys!" Based on fucking nothing. Just no basis whatsoever. They haven't driven him anywhere. The last thing they did was call him towards him, and now we're jumping in the golf cart and tearing ass toward the barn. There's a big bang, and Wild Bill says, "It's right here! It's right here in front of me!" And what that does is cause every other member of the team to swivel and point their guns at his head. Which is the natural decision, of course.
Because they all pile into that guy's barn with the jet skis. And then while in the barn, they ask Jeff to scan with his thermal to see if it's with them in the tiny barn.
And they all decide it is.
Well, no, they decide it gets out of the barn because now somebody is banging on the outside of the shed.
Right.
And they're like panicking. Oh no, he's going to knock over this barn. And then somebody involved with the production makes the completely insane decision to bang once on the roof. So they all look up. Like Hogzilla is just fucking Space Jam dunking over the barn. They don't mention it, but what a wild fucking thing to do.
Trapper does something that I'm going to notice him doing in other episodes where he gives an interview to camera, says something like, well, we'll hear him over there, hear him over here, hear him over there. I don't know how the hell he does that. Expressing surprise that the creature is ambulatory.
Right.
That it's able to walk around.
He's never met
It's some
anyone
kind
like
of
that.
teleporting hog man? Hog moth? Mogzilla? Is that what? I don't know. It could just be moving, I guess. So they run out of the barn, and it runs right into what they say is a feed trailer, just a trailer full of apples and corn. I guess it decides I like these apples and corn more than I hate being pursued, because it just runs in there and starts chowing down on apples like it's in a Skyrim fight.
But Willie must have seen this. Willie saw this truck trailer and the creature getting inside it and getting trapped. He must have thought like, oh shit, they already have these.
This trailer is already full of bait. All we needed to do was just stake out this, have Buck do his hog call, and then when it shows up here in expectation of meeting a sexy lady Hogzilla, it's going to see the big trailer full of apples and corn and walk up in there, boom, slam the door shut. It's going to thrash around outside the trailer, but what is that when you have captured the world famous Hogzilla? Like who cares?
It's incredible.
I like to think Willie saw that and he just was in awe. Like he just went, the master trapsman who built this.
Who? How?
It's
got wheels
it's like
on
the
it.
precursor race. It's like finding an Incan temple. Like
But I feel like we didn't
How
mention
were they
earlier
this
that
advanced?
the cage they made had wheels because they like dragged it through the woods for a little bit. So like this is basically just a much better version of exactly what they built. But then they do the same maneuver on the trucks. They have one team go to the back of the truck, which now the pig is trying to smash through, and it has like a door board, like
it's a medieval style.
yeah, like a medieval style board to keep pigs from getting out of the truck trailer, and he's bashing against it, and the side is completely wide open. I don't know why he's not leaving that way. So then the Ames team,
because I think it's Wild Bill and Willie are inside the trailer,
okay,
looking at him in the back. They're like 5 feet from him, looking right at him, bash at this rear door, and then the rest of the team is looking at the rear door that he's going to explode out of.
Right.
So that if they actually decide to shoot, they will absolutely shoot each other. They're pointing right at each other.
Yeah, there's just that thin plywood door in between them. They're all literally are pointing their guns directly at each other.
Okay, so I had in my notes that the cameraman is now looking at a door being bashed by Hogzilla. And it's like, this is amazing. He almost has he's going to have footage any second of Hogzilla coming out of this door. And so then he goes to the side where he can't see Hogzilla. And that's when Hogzilla bashes itself free and makes its way past the entire Ames team. None of them get a shot off. I'm just saying we're really close to getting footage of Hogzilla breaking out of a truck. That would have been amazing.
What happens instead, all right, is the doors explode outwards. The camera is pointed right there.
Right.
Like directly, we're looking at him. We're looking at where Hogzilla would land coming out of that trailer. There's nowhere else for him to land. The door blocks sight of presumably him coming out, but unless he flies, unless he's a Mogzilla, you would see him exactly right there. And what everybody on the team does is hurl themselves backwards like they have been attacked, like they've been just rammed by Hogzilla. Only you can see that they are, the way it's filmed, you can see that they are specifically reacting to nothing, as though they thought the team would fix this in post, like they'd CGI a Hogzilla in here or something. Like, this is how you would act for that.
Jeff falls down like he was attacked by the Hogzilla. He flops to the ground.
Like he's been bashed over, but again, you see him just hurl himself to the ground, and nothing is there.
Yes, the editors happily left that shot in the final.
No, he doesn't hit you, Jeff. We didn't say that. So they say it ran away down the hill. It's time to get back in the forest golf carts again. Now they think it's headed toward the trap, presumably out of sportsmanship. Because there's no incentive whatsoever. They decide the trap's down, it's closed, and all of our fun is over. It happened. There's something in the trap. It's a big hog. It's a Hogzilla.
I was so pissed off.
It's an average sized hog, and for the listeners who don't watch the show, they've done this thing where the hog is in there and it's not agitated. It's just kind of doing normal pig movements. Like it's like kind of scooting the dirt around with its hoof, and there's like the straw in there, so it's like poking its face down and throwing the straw up. They've dubbed in like ferocious growling sounds, and every time this hog moves, they dub in that whoosh sound from a kung fu movie.
Yes,
where you're moving so fast that it whips through the air. And when it moves its head around, and it's just kind of like stepping around and twirls around, because there's people all around making noise, and it's kind of like looking around, like, oh, what's going on? And they just keep dubbing it like, to try to make this hog, which is, again, just a random hog from somebody. Like, that's where this episode started. Somebody's like, hey, I've got a fairly big hog you can film as a creature.
It's no Hogzilla. Might be a...
Yeah, it is completely normal sized hog. And the trapper, it says he's 800 pounds at least. So he knows he can't pass this off as 1,200 pounds or the 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So, but he's going to try to say, well, it's not 800 pounds, but
it's not even a full shack.
It's more of a Hogzuki than a Hogzilla.
At best. I was like, have we lost our minds? Are we all insane? Like, fuck you, mountain monsters. This is beneath even you. Like, this is just a pig. And then they're outside just taunting it like, we got you, Hogzilla. And then I think it's Trapper who screams, Hogzilla! He belongs to us! But this is...
He said
this is a man...
It sounds like Sean's making that up. That's an exact quote.
Yeah.
Hogzilla belongs to us now.
They put a pig in a cage. This is like buying patio furniture and saying, we have solved the puzzle of patio! He's granted us chance by the power of stars we sit! It's fucking nothing. And then Trapper's like still trying to sell it. He's like, I think it's Russian wild boar crossed with a Duroc. I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's a Duroc pig, which is the second most common type of domesticated pig. This is just barely not the most ordinary pig you can find. And
for example, his tusks are just short little.
Yeah, it's
just
normal
teeth.
tusks.
They look like little teeth.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call them. They're tusklets, just little tiny tusklets. This is, God, like a 300-400 pound pig. I don't know what else you could say about it. If you'll remember in an early episode, they were trying to catch a devil dog, and what they did was accidentally catch 3 normal dogs. And where we have come is that when they caught those 3 normal dogs, they were like, oh, God damn it, we caught 3 normal dogs instead. What they say here now is, this was the mythical creature all along.
Right.
So
they try to sell it like they're debunking shit. Like they're like taking good information and bad information and filtering out the bad. Like Trapper says they're separating the wheat from the chaff, but motherfuckers, you're the only source of chaff. Like you're debunking... You're debunking the shit you said in the back of the truck.
Trapper throws all of these people under the bus. Like, well, sometimes eyewitnesses exaggerate things. It's like Wildman had specific details about this thing standing up. These other people had specific details about it reared up, it rotated around. It's like you can't mistake this little random farm hog you've got in this cage with what that guy described. If you did not think that guy was just an absolute asshole, you would say, "Oh, we accidentally caught a regular pig.
Yeah,
Hogzilla's still out there. This is the best we could do. This was one of Hogzilla's minions. We got his lieutenant."
Right, like that's what they would have said in that dog episode. They'd said, "Well, we got a cover for this," and here they decide to just celebrate. And I cannot reinforce enough how much they show us this normal pig.
Oh, we get all data to decide this is a normal pig. And Trapper says the words
within context.
Yeah, but he still smashed his way out of a truck. Like now, do you expect us to believe that? That's fucking stupid. And for Trapper to say, we've solved the mystery. It's like, you absolutely didn't. I solved this an hour ago. I looked at this show. I said, you dumb fucks are stupid as shit, and pigs exist. That was me. I solved that mystery.
So I would like everybody to flash back now to the moment where Trapper found the tracks outside of the barn, laid his hand on top of them as if to prove it has human hands, turned to Bo and said, "You've got a monster on your farm."
Yeah, you certainly solved that mystery. Fucking.
Was that what, like from his toddler? Where's his toddler playing around out there? Where'd the tiny human hands come from if this is Hogzilla and you were so smart that you never believed it? Why did you say, "You've got a monster on your
Bo
farm"?
right now is being torn apart by a human-handed monster while these dumbasses are fucking around with a real pig.
You caught my pig. That's my pig.
By the logic of the show,
put him in the
they
trailer.
definitely stole that guy's pig. They were in his barn and in his truck.
That's his trailer. It's where he lives.
Yes.
Did you come in and threaten to shoot my pig in his trailer? It's like a doghouse for a pig. I don't...
Wait,
Did you not see the apples I
that's
fed
Henry,
him?
that's my
I put
daughter's
apples in
pig.
there
You
for
fuckers took my daughter's pig and gently tormented
I've
him
never
for a
li-
few minutes.
This is why people don't invite you into their barns.
But then Buck is going to say the most amazing line that's ever been
God,
uttered
it's so
in the
good.
show in the first 18.9 episodes. But he says, the next step is to call animal control so they can come out and get him. And says it as if this has always been their
Always been
method.
the plan.
Now, listeners, I want you to cast your mind back over the previous 17 episodes and imagine them calling animal control to come get the Mothman.
You have to specifically say, according to your fiction, Buck has to call animal control and say, "Can you come out and pick up a Hogzilla?"
Yeah, that's the next step.
No, sir, not a hog.
That's the next step.
It's a Hogzilla.
I'm imagining when they had the xenomorph suspended between those two loops of cable with the two trees were pulling it in the sky. They've got it dangled up there and they have to call animal control to come get it.
They get two teenagers with a dog lasso. They're like, "What the fuck do you want me to do with that, mister?"
I think this is, would you say this is possum protocol? Yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
right? It's got the little hands. So
We've got it's animal control. We've got the sheep squatch tangled in a bunch of razor wire.
I fucking hate these guys.
You're gonna need to bring bolt cutters out here to free this thing. It's thrashing around, it's bleeding everywhere because we set a trap for it. See, there was just reels of razor wire.
So I wish Buck had truly the last line there. Like if they just smash cut to the end, that would be so perfect. Next step, animal control. Bam. But there is one more line we need to discuss, and that is the final brand new disclaimer at the end of this episode, which says, "No wildlife was hunted, trapped, or harmed in any way in the making of this program."
I don't know if that's always been there. This was the first time I
it's
noticed
new. I
it.
swear to God it's new. I haven't checked, but I swear to God it's new. It's just for this. They had to say, they didn't trap that pig. They rented that pig. If you'd like to, special thanks to Bo's Pig Rental Services. So your favorite quote, gotta be a hard one, favorite quote from Hogzilla, Sean.
Okay, for me, this episode was a hog too far. How dare these men of monsters soil their reputation with a stunt such as this. But if I did have to pick a quote from this show, I'm going to abbreviate it to the most pure and primal part of it, hog open. Hog open!
Hog open! Jason?
If you could go next, Brockway, I would like to go last because I'm struggling here to.
Okay, yeah, it's tough. I think I'm going to go with Jeff very seriously saying, small, crude, usable hands.
Usable hands.
Here's what I've got, and I tried to capture that were the moments that that conveyed like the visceral nature of this hunt because they did actually get a creature. But there's Huckleberry. He's going to be coming hard. Willie saying, "Count to 3. I'll jerk mine and you jerk yours." Trapper saying, when you say cocked, that son of a bitch is cocked. Huckleberry saying, I'm going to have to watch these guys' asses if this thing comes on us. Wild Bill saying, ride the guts out of her, when they were in the golf carts. Buck saying, he's about to bust out the back. Huckleberry saying, let's get after his ass. Trapper saying, you think I got something to speak
Because you had to be a Bigfoot, didn't you? You had to open up your mouth. You had to be a Bigfoot, didn't you? All your friends were so knocked out. You had to have the last word last night. You know what everything's about. You had to have the white hot spotlight. You had to be a Bigfoot last night. Whoa, whoa.